With over 16 million Instagram followers, covers on Vogue and Harper's Bazaar, and international luxury brands calling her their top customer, Heart Evangelista looks like the ultimate Filipino success story. The actress turned fashion icon jets between Paris, Milan, and New York fashion weeks, casually posts photos of her Hermes collection, and wears a $57 million Paraiba blue diamond ring like it's costume jewelry. But in September 2025, everything changed. Her politician husband lost the Senate presidency. Testimony emerged about 160 million pesos in alleged kickbacks. Brands started quietly removing her face from their campaigns. And suddenly, people started asking the question nobody wanted to ask before. Where does all this money actually come from? This is the dark truth about Heart Evangelista. Let's start with what Heart wants you to believe. Born Love Marie Payawal Ong Pauco on Valentine's Day 1985, she comes from serious money. Her father, Reynaldo, founded the Barrio Fiesta restaurant chain. Her mother's family owns sugar plantations in Camarines Sur. She spent part of her childhood in San Francisco because of her dad's business ventures. Wealthy Chinese-Filipino family. Old money. The kind of background that explains designer bags and diamond rings. Evangelista started in entertainment at 13, was discovered by talent scouts, and signed to ABS-CBN's Star Magic in 1999. By 2000, she was on television in the youth series Gmic, playing a character named Missy. She won Best New Female TV Personality in 2001. Throughout the 2000s, Evangelista built a solid career in teen dramas and films, often paired with John Prats as a love team. She hosted segments on variety shows, worked as a video jockey for Mix from 2004 to 2007, and starred in primetime hits like Hiram and Panday. In 2008, she made a controversial move from ABS-CBN to rival network GMA, amid contract disputes. At GMA, she starred in shows like Codename Azero, Luna Mystica, Full House, and My Korean Jagia. Beyond acting, she released music albums and eventually pivoted to visual arts under her real name, Love Marie. Her first solo exhibition opened at the Ayala Museum in 2014. She collaborated with international artists like Incubus frontman Brandon Boyd, but the real transformation happened when Evangelista entered the fashion world. Starting in 2017, she became a fixture at international fashion weeks, not just attending, but sitting in the front row, getting dressed by Dior, Salvatore Ferragamo, Lancaster. Magazine covers followed. She became brand ambassador for luxury labels. Fashion publications started calling her the Philippines' answer to global style icons. 27 years in showbiz, starting when she was barely a teenager. In 2012, she met politician Francis Chiz Escudero through the late Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago, a family friend. Despite massive opposition from her parents, who publicly called Escudero disrespectful, arrogant, an opportunist, and an alcoholic in a 2013 press conference, Heart married him in February 2015 at Balesin Island Club. She became stepmother to his twins from a previous marriage. When Escudero served as governor of Sorsogon from 2019 to 2022, she served as First Lady. When he became Senate President, she stood beside him. The narrative was clear. Independent woman, family fortune, career earnings, complete separation of assets through a prenuptial agreement that Miriam Defensor Santiago herself advised. What's his is his, what's hers is hers. But then everything started falling apart. September 8, 2025. Chiz Escudero gets ousted as Senate President. Nobody's giving clean explanations why. Political maneuvering, they say. Normal Senate drama, they claim. Then, September 25th happens. Former Department of Public Works and Highways Undersecretary Roberto Bernardo sits down at a Senate hearing about irregularities in flood control projects. He starts naming names. Senators received kickbacks, typically 20% of project costs, from contractors. Not small amounts, we're talking hundreds of millions of pesos. Chiz Escudero had 160 million pesos in kickbacks from 800 million pesos worth of projects in just the first quarter of 2025. Bernardo didn't wire transfer this money or use banks. He delivered it personally, cash, in suitcases, to a man named Maynard Ngu, who Bernardo identifies as Escudero's bagman, the intermediary who collects money for politicians. Other senators got named too. Nancy Binay allegedly received 150 million. Bong Revilla allegedly got 100 million. House Speaker Martín Romualdez made the list, but Escudero's name hits different because of who Maynard Ngu is. Ngu isn't some random political operative. He's the CEO of Cosmic Technologies, the company behind Cherry mobile phones. He donated 30 million pesos to Escudero's 2022 campaign. And here's where it gets really interesting for Heart, is that Ngu is her business partner. They co-own Living Luxel, a luxury venture. Heart endorses Cherry phones, Ngu's product. Senators allegedly pocket 20% kickbacks from projects that clearly aren't working. September 26, 2025. One day after Bernardo's testimony, reports start emerging. Brands are dropping Heart. FitFlop, the footwear company, quietly removes her images from campaigns. Tiger Balm does the same. Other brands reportedly follow. They don't make announcements. They don't explain. They just erase her face from their marketing materials and hope nobody notices. Heart's management tries to debunk this as fake news. They insist she's still a sought-after ambassador, but the timing is impossible to ignore. The day after her husband gets accused of 160 million in kickbacks, her endorsements start disappearing. In response, she wrote on Instagram, "Fake news alert, this is not true. Don't be fooled by fake news. Always be vigilant when reading articles online." Netizens start connecting dots. They look at her lifestyle posts. The Hermes bags collection, the casual mentions of being Yves Saint Laurent's #2 customer worldwide, the 57 million peso Paraiba blue diamond ring, the constant Fashion Week appearances in Paris, Milan, New York, the designer clothes, the luxury travel, the high society events. And they ask, where does this money actually come from? As one fan wrote, "It's getting old, that Heart is already rich thing, but when did she become a fashion icon? 2017. She got married to Chiz in 2015. Just saying." Heart fights back immediately. She goes on Instagram Live, emotional and defiant. She posts vlogs. She gives interviews. Her message stays consistent. Complete separation of assets. Prenuptial agreement. Independent wealth. What is mine is mine. What is his is his. So, being a woman who is independent, who is working hard, to be dragged into this situation where I have not done anything, I have just been concentrating on my job, on my passion, which is my lifeline, she repeats. She talks about 27 years in showbiz, starting at age 13. She emphasizes her family background, the Barrio Fiesta restaurant chain, the sugar plantations in Camarines Sur. She calls herself a billionaire in her own right, from family inheritance and career earnings. She blocks critics on social media. She announces legal action against people spreading false financial allegations. She slams what she calls paid trolls attacking her reputation. Your hard work is diminished. Your hard work is all of a sudden nothing just because you are now a mere political wife, which is so grand. Not that I'm insulting other women out there, she added, but the defense creates its own questions. If the family money is so substantial, why did her parents publicly oppose her marriage to Escudero so aggressively in 2013? Why did they call him an opportunist using their daughter for political gain if she already had independent billions? Regional entertainment markets pay well for local celebrities, but we're talking about competing with international luxury spenders. The Maynard Ngu connection is damaging because it's documented. This isn't a conspiracy theory. They co-own Living Luxel. She endorses his Cherry mobile products. He donated 30 million pesos to her husband's campaign. He's accused of being the bagman collecting 160 million in kickbacks for her husband. Even if Heart's finances are completely separate from Chiz's, even if every peso she spends comes from legitimate sources, her business partnership with the alleged bagman creates an association problem that's nearly impossible to overcome. She can't claim total ignorance about her husband's activities while maintaining business relationships with the same people allegedly facilitating those activities. The overlap is too direct. There's also her connection through Ngu to other political figures. Reports mention First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos frequenting ventures related to Ngu's business network. The social and business circles overlap in ways that make the completely separate claim harder to believe. Let's look at when Heart's luxury lifestyle went into overdrive. She married Escudero in February 2015. Her international fashion profile really exploded starting in 2017, when she began appearing at Paris, Milan, and New York fashion weeks. By 2019, when Escudero became governor of Sorsogon, her luxury posts increased in frequency. When he became senator again, then Senate president, her visibility at high-end events reached peak levels. The 57 million peso Paraiba blue diamond ring? That's recent. The claims about being YSL's second biggest customer worldwide? Recent. The constant stream of Hermes bags and designer outfits? Ramped up significantly during Escudero's political ascent. Correlation doesn't automatically prove causation, but the timeline shows her most extravagant spending period coinciding with her husband's highest-ranking political positions. The same positions that allegedly came with access to 160 million pesos in kickbacks during just the first quarter of 2025. In September 2025, Heart skipped Milan and Paris Fashion Weeks. These are her signature events, the appearances that built her international fashion credibility. She's been going religiously since 2017. She explains the absence, citing the controversy. She mentions online threats, including warnings she'd be stripped at protests. "I'm sorry to my fans that I'm not going to Fashion Week. I know that you guys say Laban. I really appreciate you, but honestly, I don't think it's the right time for anyone, especially from our country, to be going to Fashion Week, because I think we need to be here," she shared. She also skipped the September 21, 2025 anti-corruption rally, despite the rally directly addressing the kind of allegations facing her husband. She says she supports accountability but couldn't attend due to safety reasons and emotional toll. The absence is notable because Heart built her brand on showing up. Through every previous controversy, through family feuds, through marriage struggles, through online criticism, she maintained her public presence. Fashion weeks were non-negotiable, until her husband got accused of 160 million in kickbacks. Then suddenly, it's too dangerous to appear. Social media campaigns start calling for investigations into Heart's finances. Netizens demand tax records. Some lawyers and online personalities, particularly Jesus Falchis III, suggest she's not a top taxpayer despite claims of billionaire status. Falchis posts defamatory content linking her to the scandal. Escudero filed a disbarment complaint against Falchis on September 29, 2025, for the posts. The legal action just creates more attention. A signature campaign emerges urging Heart to donate the 57 million peso diamond ring to the National Museum as a symbol of restitution against kleptocracy. The campaign frames it as a test. If the wealth is legitimate and she truly opposes corruption, prove it by giving back something extravagant purchased during the period of alleged kickbacks. The term Nepo wife starts trending in connection with her name. Not just nepotism baby from her family, but nepotism wife benefiting from her politician husband's alleged corruption. Accusations of enabling a thief spread across platforms. Supporters try to defend her. Journalists like Ramon Tulfo and Corina Sanchez highlight her pre-marriage wealth, calling the attacks politically motivated scapegoating. They argue she's being punished for her husband's alleged crimes, despite having nothing to do with them. But the defense struggles against the visual evidence. Her Instagram feed is a constant display of luxury that most Filipinos will never experience. In a country where poverty remains widespread, where people died in floods that allegedly generated kickbacks for her husband, the optics are devastating. One person tweeted, "I honestly don't get why people are obsessed with Heart Evangelista. She's just a socialite flaunting her wealth in a poverty-stricken country while being married to a corrupt politician. Fuck her, and Chiz in particular. She denies any involvement in politics or corruption, but the evidence creates problems for this narrative. The business partnership with the alleged bagman isn't deniable. The timeline of her luxury lifestyle escalating during her husband's political rise isn't deniable. The brand's quietly dropping her endorsements immediately after the allegations isn't deniable. The question isn't whether Heart personally collected kickbacks or knew about specific transactions. The question is whether it's possible to maintain the lifestyle she displays while being completely isolated from the alleged corruption funding her husband's political operation. Philippine politics has a long, documented history of corruption. Pork barrel funds, kickbacks from infrastructure projects, senators and congressmen enriching themselves while their constituents suffer. None of this is new. The flood control scandal fits a pattern that's been exposed repeatedly. What makes Heart's situation particularly challenging is her decision to build a public brand around luxury and aspiration, while married to a politician facing these specific allegations. If she'd maintained a lower profile, If she'd been less visible about designer bags and diamond rings, the association wouldn't hit as hard. But she chose visibility. She chose to post every Hermes bag, every Fashion Week appearance, every luxury purchase. She built her personal brand on being a style icon and fashion influencer. And when your brand is about displaying wealth, people will inevitably ask where that wealth originates. The complete separation of assets defense has legal meaning. Prenuptial agreements are real. But in practical terms, in a marriage, money flows in ways that legal documents don't fully capture. Shared living expenses, lifestyle maintenance, business opportunities that arise through spousal connections, these things blur the lines that contracts try to draw. Heart's supporters argue she's being unfairly targeted, that she shouldn't be punished for her husband's alleged crimes, that attacking her is just political maneuvering by Escudero's enemies. There's probably truth to that. Political rivals absolutely use scandals to destroy opponents, and going after the glamorous wife creates better headlines than dry financial corruption. But that doesn't erase the fundamental problem. The alleged bagman is her business partner. The luxury lifestyle exploded during the period of alleged kickbacks. The brands dropped her when the allegations went public, blocking critics, threatening lawsuits, and insisting her wealth is legitimate. But the dark truth about Heart Evangelista isn't about whether specific allegations are proven in court. It's about the impossibility of maintaining the image she's built while being married to a politician facing these kinds of accusations. It's about business partnerships with alleged bagmen. It's about luxury lifestyles funded by sources that become suspicious when kickback testimony emerges. It's about brands quietly erasing your face from campaigns because association damage outweighs your influence value. It's about the difference between legal separation of assets and practical reality in a marriage. It's about the gap between claiming billionaire heiress status and the questions people ask when they actually examine your family business and career earnings. It's about posting Hermes bags while your husband faces allegations of taking kickbacks from flood control projects in a country where people die in floods every typhoon season. That's the dark truth. Not that Heart Evangelista is definitely guilty of anything criminal, but that her carefully constructed image of independent billionaire fashion icon can't survive the reality of who she's married to, who she's in business with, and what timeline her luxury lifestyle follows. The fairy tale of the actress who became a fashion icon through talent and family wealth alone? That story is falling apart, and no amount of Instagram blocking, legal threats, or emotional live streams can put it back together. That's it for today. Subscribe for more news of the influencer world.